Hi, I'm Leanne Ely. I'm a nutritionist, a New York Times best-selling author, and some people even say I'm a life coach. I started the Daily Dish Show to share my story, my truth, and my journey to vibrancy, and to inspire others to do the same. Because it's all about grit, perseverance, and finding a way despite the odds. It's about embracing the whole woman, not just the parts that are easy to love, and feeding her heart, mind, body, and soul. But I found that this isn't just my story, it's your story too. It's go time. This is the Daily Dish. And all week long, we've been talking about how positivity absolutely affects brain synapses and how it just changes absolutely everything. It changes everything. It changes the way that you do life. It changes your habits. It changes your thought patterns. It changes your relationships. If you are allowed to immerse yourself in this kind of positivity, that's what happens. Pure and simple. So I also know that it clarifies and connects our connections. It creates a connection, because when we are, if you were there for last Friday, Lucy had a really good question, and it was just super from the heart, and I answered her as best I could, straight from the heart. And in the mix of all of that question was the thing of connection. I read connection all the way through. Can be a missing piece for a lot of us. Connection helps us to be positive because of just the way we are built, because of our creativeness, because of our cellular DNA, because of all of these things. It is just absolutely everything. When we're in the place of connection, we're also in the place of positivity. Because why would we connect if we don't want to be positive? If we want to be negative, we can connect with other negative Nellies, but what is that going to do exactly? How is that going to help us? How is that going to create the life that we want to live? How is it going to add vibrancy to our lives? And connections establish all of this. It establishes that positivity. So it's a verb, by the way. It means to bring together into contact so that a real link is established. That's what connection is. It's to provide access. And we all need access. We all need access to another human being. We all need access to the emotions that drive each one of us. We need access to somebody with skin on. But I just want you to understand and just to really feel this in your heart, in your beautiful self, deep down, how relationships, your religion, your God, how food, exercise, even your habits, all of this is connected, and it's all connected with positivity when we decide to infuse that infusion bottle into everything. So in my infusion bottle, I have cucumber and lemon right there. Can you see that? Isn't it so pretty too? And it is taking on that flavor in my bottle. The longer it sits in there, the more fragrant, the more flavor that those items are going to impart to the water. This is exactly what it is. When we make a decision that we're going to infuse, I love the word infuse. We're going to infuse love and connection and positivity into our relationships, into our relationship with God or our religion, into our food, positivity into our food, not the negative connections that we've had. But when we make all those decisions to do that, even with our exercise, I am an athlete. I've shared that with you. Being consistent, using your word of the year, using the things that will help you and propel you, that's positivity in action. And that's what we need. That's what creates and builds new habits that make us light up. Because if we're not lit up, we're not living a vibrant life. I want to light up. I want to have that little light inside of me just coming out of every pore and making every situation, every moment memorable. We can if we decide to. We can if we decide that we're going to sparkle with all this positivity, that we're going to just put a polish, if we can, on everything. Gwen, go get a printer. You can buy a printer for like $30 they're just cheap now. Go do that. If you can't get a printer, then you can send a file into, I guess, where is it? Like FedEx or something. There's places, Kinko's, you can get a file printed off. We connect with all of this stuff. That's how we connect it. So my question then to you would be, how do we connect with all of this stuff? How do we then do it? Well, listen to this. The adult has 41 synaptic connections in their brain, less than an adult. That's, you want to know why? Because we synaptically prune the things that we don't use. The reason that we do this is, think about this. So when I was a fifth grader, I started playing piano. I played all the way, I think, through almost eighth grade. And, I never got very proficient at it, but I could sit down and play. Well, I sat down to try to play the piano, and I could remember little bits of Jesu Joy of Man's Desiring, da 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 da, you know the song, and just got to a little part of it and then left all of it behind. Why? This was my piece that I played for, recitals and what have you. Synaptic pruning. I didn't practice it. It wasn't something that I did every day. So when we do these things every day, not only are we creating habits, but we're also creating positive connections. It's everything. It's absolutely everything. I can give you another example, and I know there's a whole bunch of you here who are going to go yay and amen. Coffee. First thing in the morning, I have my little ritual where I do my coffee. That is cherished, regular habit, and it's a connection that I have to a strong connection that I have. It starts with coffee. It starts with grinding that coffee bean. It starts with putting everything out. It starts with taking my supplements, taking my Leptofix and my SAMe. It starts with all of those things, getting my hydration station ready. I cherish that. It's a daily thing, but I cherish it. And it makes me feel happy, and it makes me feel connected and positive about what my day is going to be about, because it's a setup. So when we use an established connection to add in new behavior that we actually want to create a habit stack, that's when things start to get a little bit magical. That's when we can add the momentum part to the whole thing. You know about this. And it makes us happy. BJ Fogg it calls it a habit stack. I call it piggybacking on habits, because, when we piggyback on a habit, that is the time when we really can see some momentum, because a piggybacked habit is always a new habit on a very old but very established habit. We don't just randomly make up a list of habits and start, piggybacking on each other, even if it makes sense, because we're setting ourselves up usually for failure on that. That's why I really think it's important for us to really evaluate what our habits are, and evaluate the things that need to stay and the things that need to go. And not just the things, there's this weird place of things you just got to do, because, if you don't empty up out the dishwasher, what's going to happen? Dishes are going to stack up, it's going to be, your kitchen's going to be a mess. It's going to be a nightmare. What's going to happen if you don't clean the bathroom? I don't have to tell you about that. Or don't do the laundry, or don't take a shower. If we don't do some of the things that, just maybe not everything is going to light us up. Some things you just got to do. That's just part of life. Cleaning up after yourself, well, that's part of life. And it's also a part of creating a new habit. It's taking care of yourself. It's taking care of your home. It's taking care of your environment. It's creating visual peace, and it's a setup for your positivity. It's a setup for you to have the vibrant life you want to have. That's all this stuff is. So there's some rules for doing this. Okay. Like I said, never ever piggyback a brand new habit on another new habit. It always needs to be on something that is well established. So if you are every single morning making coffee, that's a habit that's well established. What you need to do is go to the place of thinking, what habit can I stack on the back of my coffee so that it's important to me, it gets done, and it's an absolute trigger. That's the thing you need to do. So, I've shared my whole thing where I go into my kitchen, I empty the dishwasher, I do whatever, and I do all of these things. I'm in the midst of kind of changing some things up and just getting the coffee and going and doing the exercise. But since our little puppy Lincoln has come into the picture, things have gotten a little bit wonky, and we're just now starting to get sleep again. Think we figured out a new routine, but for us, it was figuring out a new routine for the puppy, because he's going to get up, at 5 o'clock in the morning. We're going to need to take him out. And I don't get to bed by 9 o'clock. Mark is still working on that master bathroom. And I told him, all I want for my birthday is a finished master bathroom. In other words, all the painting done, everything done, all the contracting stuff away, all the dust, everything done. That's all I want. That is all I want. But this is the whole thing. You make your routines as you make your routines. You turn them into rituals when they become so sacred that to not do something would be almost a sin against your own heart. It would be. So again, that doesn't mean that they're sacrosanct and they're never ever going to be changed or whatever. Like I said, we all got different seasons in our lives. We have a new season in our life right now. We are new dog owners with a puppy, and things have had to be a little bit flexible. And I haven't done exactly the things that I've wanted to do all along. But I've also recognized in order to get one thing, sometimes you have to trade something else in. So getting back and circling those wagons and getting back to the place that you need to be, well, it's again, back to the whole setup for success. And what is that? There's other factors to just the piggyback habit. There's other factors. Number one, there is a trigger or a cue. And I've talked about this, that's what our quote decks are all about. That's a trigger and a cue. That's what these are about. A trigger and a cue. We have people who set up smoothie stations. And a long time ago, I probably couldn't find the picture, but I had in my old house long time ago when I lived in a condo way back in 2015, and I had this weird little, like an island peninsula thing, and it was empty. And I just set up, I got all these cute jars from, I think it was Marshall's. And then my daughter has really great calligraphy and stuff, and she wrote on the jars, and I had Perfect Paleo Protein, I had my fiber mender, I had them all lined up in my blender, and it was just this really nice little station. So if you have the room to do that, that's something that you do. That's something that you can do, is to set it up. What does it tell you? It's a visual, and it actually has function, and it helps to remind you that this is how we're going to break our fast today. This is what it is. One of the things I do is I lay my workout clothes out the day before, usually. Yeah. Right now, everything's a little bit topsy-turvy with the pup, but I know I'm going to get back to that. Right now I'm just squeezing it in when I can, but my normal routine, my normal ritual is doing that, is getting up, doing that, and having that ahead. We can do this with relationships as well. When we set up these kind of triggers as environments for success and the positivity that we want to shine on our relationships. And I'm going to put this out there. Any of you who are married or have a serious significant other, or whatever your situation is, hey, how about this? Set up make a beautiful dinner and set your table with your nice china and light some candles. And when your spouse says, what's going on? I mean, who's coming? It's just the two of us. What's this? You just say that, I love you. And it's time for me just to express this one little thing. It's an act of love is what it is. So we can do things. We can do things when we make a decision about something and we want the positivity in our lives, we need to have the actions that follow. These are things that do. These are acts of love. They're acts of positivity. They're acts of a decision that is made on your behalf for your relationship, and this is what makes this is what makes the world go around. And these cues, these triggers that I'm talking about, they're simple. They're easy. You're going to make dinner anyway. How hard is it to pull out your china and put some candles out? Even if it's taco casserole. I mean, whatever it is, we have the opportunity at any given moment to even offer just a simple thing of, I appreciate you because blah, 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 or I really respect the way you handle X, Y, and Z. And I do this often with Mark, and I have a reminder to remind me to do that because it's too easy to get in my own head and to forget. And when we forget about each other, we forget about our connections, we drift apart. The things that are cultivated are the things we cultivate. You know that. And we can do this with our positivity. We can do this with our relationships, with our relationship with food, with our relationship with exercise, with people, with everything. Our dreams, our goals. When we take in the positive and we push it out with actually doing something about it, that's where the magic is. So just remember that these things need to require you to do something, not just sit there. Even though you have a quote deck, sitting there on your little stand or whatever, just a couple of times a day, just maybe take one of these, take one of these full bloom plants and just put a little note, read your message. There's a message for you here, message in a bottle. But take a minute just to read it. Nothing gets easier. You get stronger. Amen. That's right. I get stronger. I am strong. I am empowered. And away you go. Adding little drops of this throughout your day is a reminder of who you are, for heaven's sakes. It's a reminder of who you are. So make sure you do that, Just easy stuff to do. Be specific, be intentional, and watch for the transformation. That's what transformation is all about. That's what being thirsty for transformation is all about. This is what happens. The thing is, what this does? It makes you feel good by doing it, and you get the immediate feedback, don't you? You get the immediate feedback. You feel better. It releases all of those positive chemicals that we need in our lives to work us into that place of a higher level of living. Not that low vibe junk. We know what that is, but into a higher vibe level of living. And, I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it. Environment is always going to trump willpower, because if we think that willpower is it, it's not. We've proven that how many times? How many diets have you been on? How many times have you said, I'm just going to hold on a little bit harder? How well has that worked out for you? Set your environment up for success. Allow your habits to be touched and infused with positivity, because that is the thing that's going to propel you to the next level. Peace be with you. Have a fabulous day, and full bloom. SavingDinner.com/bloom. Thank you for joining me today. You can find me on TikTok for daily tips to help support your most vibrant life. And remember, you are the author of your own story. Until next time.